Test, test. 1, 2. And we are live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Creole, and welcome to Untwisting the Game Crypto. Test, test. What's going on? Can you hear me? 1, 2. 1, 2, test. What about now? Test 1 2. You can't hear test? Test 1 2 test. Apologies, a little technical difficulty here. I am doing this solo dolo. Michelle is not here to save me, but I believe you can hear me now. So let's kind of move into the Kusama Parachain slot auctions here. And this is at the kusama.network/auctions website. A lot of good information here, and let's dive right in. So these Kusama scalable multi-chain architecture, it's a Parachain is going to be connected to the network by releasing a slot or leasing a slot on the relay chain via permissionless auction. As Polkadot's Canary network, Kusama will roll out Parachain auctions first. For testing and optimization, Parachains will likely be onboarded to Kusama gradually as first to make sure everything is running smoothly, but no promises, and expect chaos. That's definitely to be expected. So how do teams participate? The path to launching a Parachain on Kusama will differ from team to team, but a typical process could look something like this. Design a Parachain and build it using the substrate. Test and optimize locally, then on a test net like Rococo. Determine a slot lease auction strategy. Join an auction and bid away. Deploy on the acquired slot after the start of the lease period. And finally, projects and teams will be able to renew at the end of the lease period by joining another auction. Give me 1 second here. I'm getting a little feedback. Can you hear some feedback? Okay, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna start all the way over here. Having some technical difficulties. I'm just gonna start back from the top. Apologies for those listening. Just bear with me. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Creole, and welcome to Untwisting the Game Crypto, where Michelle, URL, and I discuss our favorite projects and provide a weekly news recap every Sunday evening, covering the top 10 cryptocurrencies by market cap. Now, throughout the week, Michelle and I may go live, depending on the news that's out there in the Twitter sphere. But tonight, I'll be reviewing with you in a little more detail about the upcoming Kusama Parachain auction. So this video is going to cover a couple of topics here. One, how teams participate, auction mechanics, slot Crowdloans, and how to protect yourself from Crowdloan scams. And finally, I'm going to go over some of the most frequently asked questions regarding the Kusama Parachain auction. Now, before I jump in and begin, let me give a huge shout out to our 77 subscribers, and in particular, Crypto Joe and Crypto Kiki, aka the Queen of the Unicorns. So let's jump into the article here. You can pull up this article on kusama.network/auctions. I'll leave this link in the description below. But let's just jump in here. I'm sorry, I'm very distracted right now. I have a lot of incoming text messages, and messages, but we'll jump in. So Parachain slot auctions. The key to Kusama's scalable multi-chain architecture, Parachains connect to the network by leasing a slot on the relay chain via permissionless auction. So let's take a look at this photo here. What's going to happen and how this is set up, you're going to have your Polkadot relay chain here to the left, and it's going to bridge to Kusama. Okay, Kusama is built similar to Polkadot, but most projects are going to deploy on this Kusama relay chain as parachains or parathreads first, and most likely Kusama will be the first parachain bridged to Polkadot. So let's go back to the article. Kusama is considered Polkadot's Canary network. Kusama will roll out Parachain auctions first for testing and optimization. Parachains will likely be onboarded to Kusama gradually at first, but then to make sure everything is running smoothly, but no promises, and then Kusama will be connected to Polkadot. So expect chaos. It's the proving ground Kusama is. So how do teams participate, and how do projects participate in connecting as a parachain to the Kusama relay chain? The path to launching a parachain on Kusama will differ from team to team, but a typical process could look something like this. This article breaks it down to 6 steps. First, a team or project will design a parachain and build it using Substrate. Then they will test and optimize locally on the testnet Rococo. After that, each team will determine a slot lease auction strategy. Then they will join an auction and bid away. If they successfully achieve the auction, then they'll deploy on the acquired slot after the start of the lease period. Finally, after the lease period is over, each team and project will be able to renew at the end of the lease period by joining another auction. Let's jump into the auction mechanics here. Parachain slot auctions follow a modified candle auction format, where the exact endpoint of the auction is unknown by participants in order to prevent auction sniping, the strategy of bidding at the last moment for a more accurate price discovery. So let's take a look at the candle auction here in a little bit more detail. If you go to the wiki.polkadot.network site, it's a wealth of information here, and they explain everything beautifully. So the mechanics of the candle auction. If you watch any of Gavin Wood's, who was the founder of Polkadot, if you watch any of his previous videos, he compares this auction similar to eBay, but with the candle auction, the end of the auction is not set in stone, it's completely random. So candle auctions are a variant of open auctions where bidders submit bids that are increasingly higher, and the highest bidder at the conclusion of the auction is considered the winner, and they will win the Parachain slot. So what's so special about candle auctions is that they were originally employed in the 16th century for the sale of ships, and they get their name from the inch of a candle that determined the open period of the auction. When the flame extinguished and the candle went out, then the auction would suddenly terminate, and the standing bid at that point would win. So this is very interesting and a more fair way of auctioning off slots on the Polkadot and Kusama relay chains. So as the auction mechanics go, there's 5 steps here. 1, teams upload their Parachain code and they start bidding. Okay. Open bidding continues for the duration of the auction. Teams can see other bids and increase their bids over time accordingly. Step 3 here is at the close of the auction, the precise moment of the auction's close is random. Okay, that's where the candle auction comes in. 4, the Kusama amount bid by the winning team then becomes locked for the duration of their lease period. After the lease period, this Kusama is unlocked. Okay. The last step here is teams can decide to extend their lease by winning another auction before the conclusion of their current slot lease period. And this article, you can learn more about auctions here, but I'm just going to focus on what they discuss in this particular website. So slot crowd loans, let's discuss this. Some teams may choose to crowdfund their slot lease using Kusama's built-in crowd loan mechanism, which allows people to contribute by agreeing to lock up their Kusama tokens until the end of the lease period. The typical process for a crowd loan conducted natively on Kusama will look something like this, and they list another 5 steps here. The team will create a crowd loan campaign. They'll set a maximum of the total allowed contributions and a campaign end date. Second, the crowd loan contributors initiate a special transaction, and you can actually deploy or allocate your Kusama to the campaign's index. I'll go into this a little bit further down the stream. But the third step here is that the Kusama tokens and the contributions can be submitted throughout the duration of the crowd loan campaign or until an auction is won. Now, if there are enough contributions to win an auction, the full amount of Kusama contributed to the auction to the campaign index will remain locked for the duration of the lease period. So that's key. If you do decide to allocate some of your Kusama to projects and teams that are vying for a Parachain slot, those coins will be locked for the duration of the lease period. Finally, crowd-loaned Kusama can be unlocked and returned to the contributor's control at the end of the lease period. So if the team, if their lease period ends and they decide not to continue holding the lease or the slot, your Kusama tokens will be returned to you. Okay, one piece here that's really important, especially moving into the bull run, there's going to be a lot of scams out there, so it's important to make sure you know what's going on. So how to protect yourself from crowd loan scams. Fake crowd loan campaigns may represent or present an attractive target for scammers. Always stay alert to protect yourself and your non-refundable crypto assets. Again, in the crypto world, if you send your tokens or coins to a wallet, you can't get them back unless that wallet sends it back to you. So scammers are rampant in this space. You always want to stay focused on where you're sending your money. Always double check the address. Now, if you suspect that you're being scammed, you can always email the Web3 Foundation support team, and they can provide you guidance to what's a scam and what's real. Essential rules of thumb to keep in mind. Never share your seed phrase or account password. I can't tell you how many posts I read in Reddit where people, they were contacted by a phishing site or contacted by someone that looked legitimate, and they asked for the person's seed phrase to help them unlock coins or help them with a question. Never give your seed phrase out, because that seed phrase is your private key to your wallet. Anyone who has that seed phrase can have access to your funds in your wallet. So never give your seed phrase out to anyone ever online. Now, if you are participating in the Kusama native Crowdloan, which I suggest, only participating in Kusama native Crowdloans, you never send your Kusama to an address. So if a project says that they are a Kusama native Crowdloan, they will never ask for you to send them Kusama tokens. Don't do it. Native Crowdloan contributions are made with a special transaction in the Kusama network using what's called a campaign index. Now, these indexes is where you can contribute Kusama that will remain locked until the end of the lease period. Legitimate teams will not ask you to send Kusama to an address to participate in a Kusama native Crowdloan. Now, there are other projects and teams out there that may participate in Crowdloans, but they're non-native Crowdloan campaigns. Always consult with the official channels of the Parachain teams to verify the details of how to participate. So if you're ever not sure or you're questioning what someone is telling you to do, I suggest always go to the Twitter page, go to a market cap website like CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, pull up that project and make sure that the links that you're going to are legitimate, because if you send those funds, you won't be able to get them back from a scammer. So remember that if you're scammed, there's nothing that anyone can do to recover your funds. Finally, let's go into a little bit of the frequently asked questions when it comes to Parachains, leases and auctions, and Crowdloans. Parachains, okay? First question here. How many total Parachain slots will be available? Based on theoretical computing constraints, the current goal and expectation is that there will be approximately 100 Parachain slots available on Kusama. So they are likely to be added to the system slowly over time. I believe the first round will be auctioning around 10 slots, and then every 3 to 4 weeks there will be a new auction. So the Kusama relay chain will be filled up with Parachains slowly over time. Not all of these slots will be allocated via Parachain slot auctions. This is important because there are ways to connect to the relay chain other than vouching for or participating in these Parachain slot auctions. Let's go to the next question. How and when will Parathreads be enabled? So we expect Parathreads functionality to launch some months after the Parachains are live. Let me show you a little bit about Parathreads here. Give me one moment as this site loads. So as I said, there's multiple ways to plug into the Kusama relay chain. If a project or team isn't successful in gaining a Parachain slot, there's still other options. One of these options is becoming a Parathread. So Parathreads are an idea of Parachains, but they can temporarily participate on a block-by-block basis in Polkadot security without needing to lease a dedicated Parachain slot. So when we look at the differences between Parachains and Parathreads, one can imagine that a chain developed with Substrate can, at different points in its lifetime, assume one of three states. One, an independent chain with a secured bridge. Okay, let's go back to this image. So this is a bridge. A bridge just connects one relay chain to another. So if you're unsuccessful at becoming a parachain, you can become your own independent blockchain, and you can link to these relay chains as a secured bridge. Okay, a parachain is 2. Third is a parathread. Okay, so a project can switch between these two last states, between a parachain and a parathread, with relative ease and minimal effort, since the difference is more of an economic distinction than a technological one. So para-threads have the exact same benefits for connecting to Polkadot or Kusama that a full parachain has. But the difference between a parachain and a para-thread is economic. Parachains must be registered through the normal means of Polkadot or Kusama, example, governance proposal or parachain slot auction. But a para-thread, they have a fixed fee for registration that would realistically be much lower than the cost of acquiring a parachain slot. So the key thing here is that a para-thread can still connect to the relay chain, but it's on a block by block basis for a fixed fee. So we assume those are going to be less costly for teams than actually auctioning for a parachain slot. Let's look at some of the leases and auctions frequently asked questions here. The first question is, what happens to the Kusama locked up for the duration of the lease? So the Kusama token locked for the duration of the Parachain's lease period remains in the account used by the Parachain team to bid for these slot auctions. And it's reserved and unavailable for other uses such as staking. So keep this in mind. If you're wanting to participate or help one of your favorite projects bid for a slot in the parachain as a parachain in the Kusama network, you're going to have to unstake your Kusama, and then you're going to have to lock your Kusama or reserve your Kusama to that team, and you won't be able to use it. So at the conclusion of the slot lease period, anyone can request for the full amount of Kusama to be unlocked, after which it is once again free to be used. Keep this in mind. Your Kusama is going to be locked up for the duration of the lease. Now, for Crowdloans, contributed Kusama is locked from the moment the contribution is made until the end of the lease period, unless the Crowdloan campaign is unsuccessful in securing the slot. So, if you use your Kusama tokens for a team or a project, it's going to be locked immediately as you commit to providing those funds or tokens to the team. If the team if they're not successful in winning a slot, you will get your coins back. Okay, next question. What does a slot lease cost? The cost of leasing a Parachain slot will purely be a function of market supply and demand, so we really have no idea. However, it's important to realize that the actual cost of the Parachain slot is not the same as the size of the Parachain bid. Why? Because since Parachain bonds are returned at the end of the lease, the actual cost of running a Parachain is best characterized as the opportunity cost of not staking those Kusama tokens for the duration of the lease. So what this is telling you is these teams that are bidding for these slots, they're not actually losing their Kusama, they're just locking it up for a period, and then they'll receive those funds back after the lease. Next question. What happens if a Parachain team loses a slot auction? They will need to join a subsequent auction and bid again. Parachain teams will have the option of connecting to Kusama as a para-thread while they attempt to secure a dedicated slot. So if your favorite project isn't successful, all hope isn't lost. They can still participate in the Kusama ecosystem in the Kusama relay chain as a para-thread. If a team does not win a slot by the end of their Crowdloan campaign endpoint, the total amount of contributed Kusama can be once again unlocked, and the team will need to initiate a new campaign if they wish to continue participating in auctions. So if you're let's just take for example Fala. If you provide some Kusama for one of these networks to to connect to the relay chain and they're not successful, that campaign ends, you'll get your Kusama back, and you'll have the option to reallocate or do something else with those funds. What happens at the end of a Parachain slot lease? Does the team lose its slot? Okay, this is important. At the conclusion of the lease, the slot will go back up for auction, and the team will need to bid for a slot again if they wish to retain one. Parachain slots are fungible, so teams do not need to always bid for the same slot. Remember, there's going to be 100 open slots. To avoid any downtime in connectivity and minimize the risk of losing a subsequent auction, teams can bid on and secure an adjacent slot before their current lease period ends. So this provides a team or a project to have continuity in obtaining a Parachain slot. Next question, how can I follow the status of auctions in progress? Those who have an active account on Kusama will be able to follow auctions in progress on UIs like Polkadot.js. There's also going to be a number of third-party auction dashboards in development. We should see those run out or roll out in the next couple of weeks, although the Web3 Foundation cannot vouch for their accuracy. So if you want to have the most up-to-date and accurate information, go to Polkadot.js. Last question in this section. Are there other ways for securing a Parachain slot besides the candle auction? The answer is yes. So Parachains are considered as a common good for the entire network, can be added to a slot by governance vote. And we see this with the first round of projects that's going to be plugging into Kusama, Polka BTC, and also Plasm. They're common good projects, so they're not having to run an auction. So common good chains are parachains viewed as common good in the sense that they will benefit the entire network. For example, a bridge, and both of those projects are bridge, Polka BTC and also Plasm. Polka BTC is going to bridge Kusama to the Bitcoin network. Plasm is going to bridge Kusama to the Ethereum network. So it's going to provide liquidity to the Kusama ecosystem. And common good chains can be thought of as system level and public utility chains that provide functions and benefits to the network that builders can tap into. Now, the last section of the frequently asked questions is the category of Crowdloans. So first question here, what is the Parachain slot Crowdloan and how can you participate? Parachain teams may or they may not choose to use Kusama's Crowdloan mechanism to help back their Parachain slot lease bid. For you to participate in a Crowdloan, you must have transferable balance of Kusama. So if your tokens are currently locked up due to staking, you'll need to unbound them in advance of the Crowdloan campaign. And usually the unbounding period for Kusama is currently 7 days. I'm not for sure what it is on Kraken. I believe you receive those coins fairly immediately, but I'll have to look into that. But what's important here is that the Kusama's native Crowdloan mechanism does not require users to send Kusama from their own wallet or account to a third-party address to participate in the Crowdloan. So if your project is using the native Crowdloan mechanism, they're not going to ask you to send them Kusama. Keep this in mind. Always second-guess projects that ask you to send them coins. Next question, what are the benefits of participating in a Crowdloan campaign? Beyond the non-material benefits of supporting your favorite project's success, teams may or may not offer additional rewards for participating in Crowdloan campaigns. Now, as Michelle and I, over the next couple of weeks, take a deep dive into each of these projects, we're going to show you which projects are going to incentivize or provide rewards for you to help provide them Kusama tokens to bid for a Parachain slot. The decision on the type of award to offer for a successfully secured Parachain slot is completely in the control of the project teams and will not receive any input from the Web3 Foundation. Next question. What does it mean for a Crowdloan campaign to be conducted natively on Kusama? What are other options out there? A Crowdloan conducted natively on Kusama is one that uses the Crowdloan palette to interact directly with Kusama without the involvement of third parties. And this is what we're looking for when we're looking at projects and teams to invest in. How closely are they working with Web3 Foundation, and are they using the native systems that Kusama provides? Last question. Why do Crowdloan campaigns have a maximum amount of total allowed contributions? Setting a maximum contribution amount allows teams to participate. It allows teams to place a cap on the rewards that they are willing to offer Crowdloan contributors, because you remember all of the Kusama is going to be given back to the team and given back to the people that provided the Kusama for the bids. So the rewards for locking up your Kusama for a project, it comes out of that project's pocket. So that's why you see a lot of caps and maxims on contribution amounts to some of these projects. Okay, I really went over everything that I wanted to today. I wanted this to kind of be short and sweet to you. Just another good resource here. Again, I'll put these links in the description, and I'll also put links to the varying different types of ways to plug into the relay chain for Kusama. And it also, these links break down and explain and define the different ways these parachains are maintained and the different ways that projects can plug up to the relay chain. Finally, I just wanted to show you this image. It always helps to visualize because it helps you understand the project. So here's a photo that I found. It's a picture of the relay chain here. This is going to be the Kusama relay chain. Each parachain slot is going to have auctions. So the first round, you're going to have 10 different slots, and projects and teams are going to be able to vie for these slots and bid for these slots. These coallators, they have a very interesting role in the whole ecosystem. They're going to feed information to the validators as far as transactions. The validators are then going to organize the transactions in a way that they can upload the information and data to the relay chain. So this allows each parachain to have, different aspects of governance, different use cases. But once you plug into the relay chain, you'll be able to communicate to each of the parachains accordingly. And here's an image of the parathreads. So if it doesn't make sense economically for a project to bid for a slot, or if they lose an auction, they still have the ability to become a parachain and upload information to the relay chain on a block by block basis. So with that, I'm going to end this live stream. Thank you again for joining. Again, this is my first live stream, setting all this up by myself. So apologies for my mic being muted in the beginning, but we will be back periodically throughout the week. And every Sunday, I plan to bring you news of the top 10 coins and discuss market cap and where the crypto market in whole is moving in the future and what the market is telling you. So please subscribe, definitely mark these website links and bookmark them so you can always reference back to these reliable resources. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, have a good night. What happens next is up to you.